Yep.
Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. About get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we about to get it poppin'. And we ain't stopping.
Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again. Yeah, we at it again.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
And I'm the Gregolicious.
And today, our guest is Jim Tews. What's up, my man?
Hey, how you guys doing? Under
Doing
quarantine.
Well. Yeah, exactly. You're in the city, right?
Yep. I'm in Ridgewood, Queens, technically, but you know.
Sort of.
Yeah. It feels farther away from Manhattan than it ever has before, but
It's gonna feel farther away when they don't let you on the subway.
yeah, it's weird. It's like I feel like I might as well be living somewhere affordable. Given our like lifestyle, we just go to the grocery store. I go to this Queens brewing place to like pick up a growler of beer and coffee like maybe once a week.
Which one?
And it's called Queens Brewery or Queens Brewing Company.
I don't know that one. Where is it? Obviously in Ridgewood.
It's in Ridgewood, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a big like microbrewery beer hall kind of place.
You a beer, like a craft beer guy?
Not really. I mean, a little bit, but you know, I kind of like I started trying to get a little healthier like 2 years ago, and IPAs kind of had to had to leave my life for a while.
Get cut out.
Yeah. So anytime I try to drink them now, I feel like I just poured yeast and flour in my stomach or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love craft beer. I was never really into craft beers until my cousin opened up a craft beer bar by us a couple years ago. And I mean, for years from college till then, I drank like 3 or 4 beers: Miller High Life, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Guinness, and Heineken. Like those were my beers. And I like people like, oh, try these IPAs, and we got fuck off, you know, whatever. Hipster beers, like fuck that. And then my cousin opens his bar up, and I'm like, oh my god, like what is this? And so
it's a meal.
It's a meal. It's like 3 meals, and it's like a bunch of sleeping pills all rolled up into one.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, it's dangerous.
It is dangerous. So like even now, like I'll have one at night, maybe 2, not every night, obviously. And man, within like an hour, I'm dead asleep, like right out cold. It's the best. Anyway, so how you getting by these days?
I'm staying busy. I like, as far as comedy stuff goes, obviously it's gotten weird, but I've always had like other like comedy adjacent things that I've done, like the animation and video stuff. So I kind of like, I've found ways to stay busy and distract myself from the fact that I'm not able to get on stage.
Right.
And even in a couple cases, you know, make some money. But that's my thing. It's just like, I need something to do.
Yeah.
And I've, you know, like being a comic and independent producer of stuff, all you do is get up every morning and go like, okay, what do I need to assign myself today? So this lifestyle, I was already kind of like halfway there.
Accustomed to it.
Yeah, it's almost easier sometimes because you're like, well, there's nothing else I can do, so I might as well go work on this thing. You know, I'm not missing out on stage time. I'm not missing out on social events.
Right.
So
yeah, it's funny. Like a bunch of my, you know, neighbors and, you know, all of a sudden now they want to get together for happy hours all the time. And,
like on Zoom?
No, but like actually like in the middle, because I live on a relatively small street out here.
Oh, okay.
So it's a dead end, and everyone wants to get out and have happy hours. I have lived on this street for 6 years, and I have seen my neighbors more in the last 1 month than I have seen them in 6 years. Like all of a sudden now they want to like meet in the middle of the street and have happy hour from 6 feet away. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like I'm down, but like, what's going to happen when we start going out again? Like you're going to disappear out of our lives like an ex-girlfriend.
Yep, that's exactly. It's gonna like the weird new social dynamics are just gonna kind of evaporate. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know. It's been kind of nice, like having this weird, like normal. What I assume it feels like we're all living in the 50s now or something. Like it was like I think we've had dinner at the same time every night for like a month, and it's been before 10 p.m.
Oh my
which
God.
is rare.
My dinners have ranged anywhere from 3:30 in the afternoon till like 9:30 at night. Like it's just all over the place. It's like
early bird special.
Yeah, it's like 3:30. Okay, I could eat a mac and cheese. Like whatever, it's fine.
Yeah,
And then or like fuck it, I'll have a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
it's lawless.
Gives me 5 hours to go walk around the yard.
So Jim, how long you been doing stand-up for? When did you start? And did you start in New York City?
No, I started in Cleveland, oddly, in 2003, I think. Okay. Yeah, 2003. Oh, wow. So I was in. Sorry, 1 second. I wanted to make sure if I was sitting this way, I was still on camera, but now I'm about to hide my self view again. I started in 2003. I was in the Coast Guard at the time, and I had gotten stationed in Cleveland. So I'm originally from Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Huh.
Yeah, and I joined the Coast Guard right out of high school. Got stationed. I was a couple different. I was like off the coast of Cape May for a while, on a ship, and then like.
Can I ask a dumb question while we're talking Coast Guard in Cleveland? Okay, so
I think I know what the question is.
There's water in Cleveland.
The Great Lakes.
Okay.
It's because everybody asks that, but it is a maritime border between us and Canada.
Yeah.
Our number one enemy. Yeah. So somebody's got to guard that.
Our number one enemy.
Thanks for keeping Cleveland safe.
We kept Cleveland safe, Toledo safe, Detroit safe. Yeah. There are many points along the Great Lakes that those Canadian pirate ships.
Well, I for one, I thank you for your service.
Thanks. It was an odd time, but it was a difficult 4 years for somebody who's just kind of a goofball.
It's funny, like I've had friends be like, oh, when I was younger, like I'm going to join the Army or the Marines or something. It's bad. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you could do that, and then you could get shipped off to some problem somewhere, and then you never know. It's great to defend the country, but
yeah,
maybe go in the Coast Guard.
Get shipped off to Cleveland.
Like you get shipped off to Cleveland, you get a nice white uniform. It's nice. It's.
I mean, that was kind of my logic. There was also like they felt like more of a helpful humanitarian branch. I
mean, their boats look prettier.
Their boats are prettier.
You're guarding the coast of the United States.
Yeah, there's a real solid chance you're just going to get stationed on a beach somewhere.
You're going to spend your time in Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Why'd you pick the Coast Guard? What was the reaning?
I was just kind of a goofball in high school. I got shitty grades. I had like teachers and guidance counselors that were like, don't bother with college. Because it was 1999, and I think that was like right before you could no longer say that to somebody.
No, it was said to me in 2005.
Okay.
Seriously, I had guidance counselors. Yeah, I had guidance counselors and family members that were like, "Hey, this school thing's not for you. You should join the. Why do they say that? Let's join the Coast Guard." It's like,
well, it was join the military was the sentiment, and then I did a little bit of homework and was like, all right, Coast Guard seems up my alley a little bit. So then I was in there, and then I had an interest in stand-up for a long time. I was having a terrible time in, just being in such a restrictive work environment. It was like having an office job that was just like super strict. And then I decided to try stand-up mostly because of Dave Attell's Insomniac.
Yeah,
remember that show was that was like huge at the time, and I was like, this looks like the coolest lifestyle anyone could have, because I had also started drinking like right when I turned 21 pretty heavily, and then I went out and tried open mics and never stopped until the coronavirus.
God damn coronavirus.
I think the longest I've gone without stage time is maybe a month when I was in school for film stuff.
Yeah. Now, when did you move to New York?
2010. Yeah. I think it was early 2010. I kicked around Cleveland for quite a while. When I got out of the military, I just kept doing stand-up. Went back to Pennsylvania for a while. I did comedy in Allentown and Philly for like 6 months. Went back to Cleveland. Tried to, I went to college, figured a lot of comedy stuff out there at Hilarities and the Improv and all these like, you could do a lot of road gigs. It's kind of central.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that stuff. And then kind of finally like it started hitting the ceiling a little bit, and was like, all right, this Midwest road stuff probably isn't up my alley. I need to kind of choose like New York or LA, and New York was a little more accessible for me.
That was it. So it was just accessibility, choosing between New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah, and it felt like, well, my family is not too far from here. My family's like in Allentown, Pennsylvania, so I'm 2 hours from home.
How do you feel about the Billy Joel song?
I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't either. From Allentown, but I imagine if you're from Allentown, you probably hate that song.
It's kind of a scourge on our a ugly mark. No, it's a cool song, but he was clearly singing about Levittown or something, or wherever the fuck he's from in Long Island. He just decided to throw poor little Allentown under the bus.
Yeah.
I mean, everything he sang about in that song is true, and I mean, literally, like, my dad was a steel worker, and so was my grandfather, and when they shut the factories down, he lost his job. My grandfather was in World War II. Trying to think of some of the other lines that applied to it was all true. I can't fault him for that, but nobody reminded.
I'm not a Billy Joel fan. I grew up in New Jersey, and I'm also not really a Bruce Springsteen fan. And it always, like, kind of bothered me. Billy Joel writes all these songs. It's fun. And then he got into this kick where he's writing all these songs about the water and fishing and, like the fishing life and all that. I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Bruce Springsteen, grew up in New Jersey, and he's titling albums Nebraska, like he's born on a farm, and we're talking about farming. I'm like, dude, you live on the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Never really understood it. Kind of bothered me. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess songwriters, they take on personas like some comics do that might not completely match their actual upbringings.
Yeah, Nick has been talking a lot about starting to do comedy and drag.
I would highly recommend it. You got to do something to get people's attention.
He looks good in a wig.
Yeah, your head is shaved. You could just plop something right on top of it.
He's got the facial hair of a Italian woman through a 6-week coronavirus.
Yeah, I shaved like a week ago, and now it's all back. I'm like one of my aunts.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Yeah, I'm working on the quarantine beard as well.
Are you?
I just shaved mine because I looked like a dirty 8th grader. So let's talk about your animation. Like we were talking about that a little bit before. So that's how you're spending some time making a little money now through all this?
Yeah. I mean, like I did it when I was in, played with it when I was in college. And it was just too tedious and boring. And it still is very tedious and a little bit boring, but, technology has kind of sped up a lot of elements of it, so it's like it's a fun way to kind of get ideas out without having to assemble a crew of people.
Right, you can do it yourself.
You could do it yourself. I mean, the thing that sucks is just how time consuming it is, and how much the opposite of live performance it is. It's like very lonely. I'm just sitting.
How long did it take you to do that one of your stand-up that's on your site?
Well, the picture day one I did, which is probably the more intense one. That probably took me 2 or 3 months.
Oh my God! Wow.
But I mean, not like 2 or 3 months where every day I woke up and worked for 8 hours. If I had been working 8 hours a day on it, I probably could have knocked it out in a month. Wow. But it's also like a learning curve thing, like I'm developing skill. I know what I want to be on the screen, but my drawing abilities and some of my technical abilities are not always there. So then I have to figure out, how to get it there.
Right.
But it's kind of a nice departure.
Yeah, it's totally cool. I've seen a bunch of that on some, I've seen Giannis has some animation of his bits up on his.
Yeah, those guys do that a lot.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm just curious how long it takes those guys to do those, because it's pretty, obviously elaborate and really good to do that. And I know how long animation takes. It's tedious.
Yeah, and it's funny because like a lot of people when I did it were like, "Oh, hey, I have a bit. Would you want to animate it for me?" And then I'm like, "Well, either I don't have the time." What's that?
You got $30,000?
Yeah, I mean it's usually like a budget thing. Like it's not 30,000, but it's like where I say like, "Yeah, here's how much I would need," and people are like, "What?" I'm like, "Watch any." And I'm not even like a lot of times like it's like if I'm trying to be reasonable, but like, you look at the end of any animated anything and the credits are as long as any, film would be.
Yeah, no, I did animation for a while. I was involved in a couple animation projects, and I do know what it costs. And I know how long it takes. And depending on what your goal is and how intense you want it to be and the different styles you want, I mean, it's not like a cheap, quick endeavor.
No. Yeah, there's ways you can do it kind of quick and dirty, but then, you want something that people are going to want to watch.
Yeah. No, it's true. I had a friend, a guy I knew a while ago that bought a program to do animation in Walmart, right? And created these insane, I mean, the guy never did drugs or even drank. And if you watch this, I'll send it to you offline. You'll be like, there's no way this guy is not on an insane amount of hallucinogenic drugs, right? And he sold it to one of the not sold it. He got a deal at one of the streaming services for content.
Oh, wow.
Out of a program he bought in Walmart like 10 years ago.
That's crazy.
The most primitive shit you ever saw. It's only because the thing is so off the fucking wall.
Yeah.
That I forgot which one, and he probably would kill me if I even mentioned it or the name, but because it's not out yet. It's insane, but I'll send it to you. It's crazy.
All that it's gotten a lot more accessible too.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. All my my friends always make fun of me. All my friends mostly are married and have like small children, and they all watch like Frozen or Moana. Yeah. And I'm at these parties with like my friends and their kids, and I get like into those movies. I'm like, look at this shit.
Oh, it's crazy.
I'm a 32-year-old man. I get lost. They always laugh at me. They're like, do you like this shit? I'm like, it's just so cool. Like, this is so different.
Also,
yeah. If you're sitting down to watch it, like you get wrapped in quick. Like we just watched Coco the other day.
Good.
And it's like, I mean, the story was fantastic. Obviously, it's like Pixar, but then like on top of that, the visuals are just like insane.
So the question is, did you cry at the end of Coco?
Yeah, I cried at the end of Coco. I think I cried in the middle of Coco. I can't remember what other part there was, but Coco got it out of me twice, a little bit.
That's what she said.
And it was like 3 weeks into the quarantine, which probably contributed because I was just like, mentally, your brain's like ready to break in any direction it gets bent.
Yeah. Nick, did you see Coco?
No, didn't.
Oh, you're gonna cry.
Yeah, watch it.
Yeah, watch it tonight. And
Inside Out was another good one.
Yeah, good. Inside Out, definitely.
Yeah.
While we're talking about kids animation movies, have you seen Trolls?
No, is it good?
I haven't watched the whole thing. I've seen a bunch of it because I'm in the consumer products business and I work with Universal.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of the new Trolls movie, and it's pretty darn good. It's
nice.
cool. There's it's all music based and all different styles of music, and the story's pretty good, and the music is great. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And there's some movies too, like the current kids movies, and I know like things that I've watched when I was younger, and you watch them now, and you're like, oh, that joke in there, or like that sentence, you're like, that's meant for adults. Like kids don't pick up on that shit.
Totally.
Go back and look, it's so funny, man. You're like, this is meant for adults entertainment as well.
Yep.
So let's talk about your stand-up. Right?
Sure.
When's the last time you performed before all this hit? Do you remember?
March 8th. I do remember. You know what's so weird? This didn't occur to me until very recently. I started, recently as in 15 seconds ago. I started in early March of 2003, and the last gig I did was March 8th of 2020. March is a weird time. But anyway, I opened for Kyle Kinane for 2 dates. I did Hamden, Connecticut. What's that venue called?
Space. Shit. I fucking forget.
It's like something room.
Yeah.
I don't remember now.
Space Ballroom, Spaceland Ballroom or something. Hamden.
Yeah, it's something ballroom.
I live in Connecticut. I should probably know that, huh?
Well, it was a cool venue, but I did that, and then we did a Albany.
Sorry.
Yeah, actually, that one was fun too. I mean, both were fun because it's Kyle Kinane, and he brings his own crowd out.
Yeah, right. Space Ballroom.
Yeah, Space Ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't been there. It's a pretty good sized room.
Yeah, it's a good like mid-sized concert venue.
Yeah, because Chris DiStefano did that room right around the same time, like mid-February, I think.
Yeah, I think he had been there recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good comedy music venue.
So as far as the city goes, you're probably going up multiple times a week.
Yeah, I mean, not now, yeah, but I've never been, for better or worse, I've never been the let me see how many spots I can get in one night guy. Yeah. Like I like that but I've never been even when I first moved here, I was already 8 or 9 years into comedy.
Right.
So I was already tired. So it was hard, it was just harder to go out and grind at sad open mics the way a lot of younger people are, have the tolerance for.
Right.
But yeah, now, I mean, I work the cellar, but I usually host there. So I'm there for, several hours in the course of a night. And then I try and book stuff around those spots.
What night?
And then trying to go on the road as much as possible.
What night do you host at the cellar?
It varies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's week to week. It varies. So you'll
show, or they just bring you over to host.
What's that?
Is it your own show, or is it?
No, I'm in the the roster of hosts.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
When did that happen? When did you start doing that?
I got passed there 3 years ago, maybe.
Oh, wow.
About 3 years ago. again in March for some reason. And I was doing like regular. What's that?
You got to just start wearing all green.
Yeah. I was doing like regular spots there for a while, and then they kind of like tapered off, and I was like, hey, do you need somebody to host? Because I'll totally do that. And then they were like, yeah, we do. And then I started hosting.
Right.
Because you just get to hang out a little longer, get to meet more people. Sure. And if you don't have a bunch of credits, it allows you to kind of like be of use.
Right.
Still.
And you get to eat really good Middle Eastern food.
Yep. That's a huge plus.
I used to go to that restaurant all the time just because like the food's so friggin' good. And
yeah, it's a really good restaurant.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what do you think about the show Crashing?
Obviously, I watched the first season,
right,
and then I was like, no, thank you.
Why?
It's one of those things where you're like, I didn't think it was bad. It was just one of those things where I'm like, it's somebody giving their version of a thing that and are familiar with, and it doesn't quite match up. So I was like, not for me. Huh. If I was newer into comedy, if that show had come my way when I was like 3-4 years into it, I would have watched it on repeat for sure. But it's like weird when you have this fictionalized version of stuff that involves people in real life.
Yeah. I just watching Jamie Lee.
What's that?
I just like watching Jamie Lee.
Oh. I should go back and watch it. I should not be so salty.
I guess I see your point though, because you're in it every day. I mean, you've been in New York City for 10 years.
Yeah.
Watching it in Connecticut, who's maybe gonna in August will be 2 years into stand up. I watch them like this is so cool because it's like this.
Yeah.
Not necessarily foreign thing. It's a train ride away, but it's like, wow, I didn't know about this type of stuff. Whatever. It's good hearing these stories, but I get it when you're in it constantly for 10 years. You're like,
yeah.
No.
And I guess it's more like, I know how the sausage is made. I don't need to see the video factory tour of the sausage factory.
Do you listen to their podcast?
Which one?
Live from the Table.
No, but I've been on it a few times. Again, like I could go talk to all those people.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because I've listened to it a bunch. We had Periel on a while ago, and it's just when I started listening to it, I thought it was going to be really just them talking to other comics like a billion other shows, and it's not at all. It's totally different. And time. So it was really interesting to me.
Very engaging and topical.
Yeah.
The last time I did it, I was like, oh shit, because I thought Noam was gonna be there. He ended up not being there, but I'm like, I gotta go like do my homework.
Right, I know.
So I can, make sure that I can defend any statement I throw out.
Yeah, it definitely is one of those shows where you have to if you go in cold, you'll get smoked.
So let's talk about your comedy album. It came out. Well, you're not really sure when.
I forgot. I could go look on iTunes. It was sometime in March.
Last month.
No, February. It was February. It's the 25th.
Are you sure?
I put it together. I finally put it together because I did. That was one of the February 25th. I did a release show. I think in Cleveland. It was the end of February.
What was it? What it's called? Oatmeal.
It's called Oatmeal.
Very cool. Why did you name it that? And where did you shoot it as well?
It's audio. I mean, there's video of it, but it's
that's what I meant.
Yeah. It's we recorded it in San Francisco.
Oh, cool.
At this place called The Setup. Yeah, it was like it's basically like in the basement of a beer bar where these comics in San Francisco set up just like I think it's like probably 5 days a week. They have shows in this little basement, and they've built an audience. So the record label that I did it with is called Blonde Medicine, and they're out in the Bay Area. And they were like, look, if you want to tape this thing here on a Saturday, we give you 2 shows and people will come out because, the room, gets filled. And I was like, yes, if I could do, I'm terrible at promoting and I'm not a draw and I'm very aware of it. So I'm like, if you could take those things out of the equation for me, then I just need a room full of people and I can do what I do that way. So that's what I did. And it went well. It was fun. First show was kind of tight, but because I just tried to like control too much, but then second show I was cruising.
A little more relaxed, having more fun with it.
Yeah. And that's like, it's one of those dumb things that you try to remind yourself of every time, where you're like, this is a live performance, like keep it loose, it's fine, have fun. But then the like control freak side of me is just like, why is that person laughing like that? They're ruining it.
Like, you mean like just the laugh itself, like it's too loud or it's just out of place?
Yeah, you get stuff like that, or like, glasses falling. And it's like, this isn't, you're not shooting a film. This is like live performance. Like, let it be weird. Let it be sloppy a little bit.
I mean, I've heard guys like, Eddie Murphy talk about when he used to listen to Richard Pryor's albums, and like he liked that type of stuff. Like, you would hear a glass falling in the background, and then when he would record his stuff at clubs when he first started, he was like, oh, I'm like Richard Pryor. Like, you could hear the same shit.
Yeah.
Felt similar,
Yeah, there's atmosphere to it.
Yeah, exactly. Someone yelling at their boyfriends, a couple fighting.
I mean, one of my favorite, probably my favorite comedy album ever is Attell's Skanks for the Memories. And like that that album has the energy of a rowdy weekend, club crowd comes through on that album.
Yeah.
Like, you feel like you're in the room.
Did you do your, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, go ahead.
Did you do your New York bit in out there?
I had some New York stuff, but I travel enough, and I didn't start in New York, so I'm always very aware of like, am I talking about something that's specific to New Yorkers? If I have like New York stuff that I know is specific to New York, of course I'll do that, like the Cellar at a New York show, because it's gonna do well. But and then when you're in like San Francisco, if you're doing a joke about public transportation or the cost of housing, they're gonna get it, because it's the same stuff applies. Yeah. You can't do it in Indianapolis as much, but
or Cleveland.
Yeah. Cleveland, like, you can get away with it if it makes it sound like you're making fun of New York when you do New York stuff in those places.
They look at, every time I've gone to the Midwest, they look at you when you're from the Northeast, or if you live, north, they just, it's like, oh, you're from New York, or you're from Connecticut, or whatever. They think it's like this whole thing. I got judged real hard. This was my first day. I had an internship right after college at the University of Missouri.
And, oh, wow.
Yeah. And my last name's Scopoletti, and I was tan at the time. I had a chin strap. I was super cool in college. And first day, they were like, who's Scopoletti? And I was like, fuck. And I raised my hand, and they were like, do you like the Jersey Shore?
Oh, God.
And I was like, I mean, yeah, I watch it every week, but still, like, so judgmental.
Yeah, if you definitely, like, if your last name is Scopoletti and you have a chin strap beard, they're definitely gonna.
I was tan as fuck. It was bad. It was a bad combo. I was the only intern there from the Northeast, so
yeah,
got picked on hard.
I don't know. I felt like I've blended into Cleveland pretty well, so I was fine. When I've gone down south is when it gets weird. Not weird, but where I feel like people are sniffing me out because they think I'm Jewish mostly. But
I love that bit you have about aging into it. Yeah. That's so fucking good.
Thank you.
So, Jim, what's next for you now? I mean, we don't know next time we're going on stage, or just gonna be animating, or what? What's up for you?
Well, for right now, I've got a couple little animation projects for other comics that I'm working on. And, it's nice to put some stuff out there that's got my imprint on it a little bit, and, give comics that I like a chance to send something around that's not, a standard cell phone video.
Right.
So I'm focusing on that while we're trapped inside. I'll do Zoom shows sporadically. Those still feel weird, but I'm getting better.
I've heard.
Getting more used to it, I should say. And then once things start opening back up, I'm gonna try and work myself back into the fold again and see where it goes.
Yeah, we had our show that we had to cancel, obviously.
Yeah.
Get that back scheduled hopefully in the next few weeks, and when we get a better idea of when we can actually open again.
Yeah, that's so weird how having comedy aside, even just like I'm getting married in October, mid-October, and like we're going through that thing where it's just like I assume everything's gonna be cool by then, but
you have no idea.
You have no idea.
What day in October?
October 11th.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Thrilled, Greg.
Good for
you. Married man. Good for you, man.
I'm surprised it's not March.
We almost did March 8th. We almost did.
That should be the name of your next comedy album. We almost March 8th.
It should be called Thank You and Fuck You March. It's always some weird period of change. I'm sure there's some weird hippie astrological attachment to all that, but I'm not going to research it.
For me, it's usually just allergies that come on in my
Allergies bring a great change because you're an air sign.
Yeah.
All right, man. So where can all of our people find you?
And all my social media is at Jim Tews, JIMTEWS. And you can check out my YouTube. It's I'm kind of all over the place content wise.
Yeah.
But I no longer apologize for that. You can find me on social media there. You could search for my YouTube and check out Oatmeal, which is on Spotify, Pandora, Satellite, iTunes. And then I have another album, a previous album called I Was in Band. So you've got 2 full albums of Jim Tews content.
Well, that's awesome. And don't expect Jim to promote any of it.
Nope.
You got to go find it.
Yep. I'm I'm trying to be like a cool indie musician that nobody knows about until he dies penniless.
Like that guy they made that documentary about a few years ago, and then they found him alive.
Yeah, searching for Sugar Man.
For Sugar Man.
Yeah, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna get real popular in South Africa.
Yeah, right. At least you're not in a burned out house in downtown Detroit.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, listen, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. I wish you guys well, and stay sane and productive and healthy.
Yeah, you too. And we'll certainly catch up soon, man.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Dude. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.